Hello, I'm Jeff McNeil, and this is my review of Valkyria Chronicles 4. The continent of Europa is in the middle of a great war between the Federation and the Empire over a rare natural resource known as Ragnite. With the Federation being pushed to their limits, a final plan is concocted in which they will perform one final breakthrough of the Empire's front lines and take the capital. Operation Northern Cross is the Federation's last chance, and you follow Squad E, an elite ranger unit who spearheads the operation. Honestly, the best way I can describe the story is anime war. It's not bad, but nothing ever quite reaches the level one would expect a war game to be. It always has that silly anime feeling to it, if that makes any sense. The characters are generally enjoyable, and they actually go through arcs, which was something I wasn't necessarily expecting from my war game. But the different characters you recruit throughout the game, main story characters, even the side characters all get a lot of love. But the story can get cringy in places, and there are more than a few moments that is just no. Just no. It's never terrible, but it's rough in places. Now, I will say the ending is quite empty. I mean, you go through the game, and I know war is supposed to be, nothing's good in war, but it still comes across as very unsatisfying. The ending is extremely unsatisfying as far as a conclusion is concerned. But overall, it's not terrible. I mean, it's not fantastic, but it's certainly passable. Graphics are, well, they're actually quite well done. Everything is not CGI, it's cel-shaded. It looks pretty good. Colors can be a little washed out, but everything is fairly distinct, though I don't know why everything seems to have like this weird filter over it. Can you see it there? I know this is supposed to be, the whole game is like a memory, but everything's got this kind of fuzzy, dirty filter over it, and can't say I necessarily like it, but graphically not bad. Music is okay. It rarely does anything outright amazing like a lot of the game. It's good, nothing mind-blowing, but certainly nothing bad. Sounds, for a war game, it hits all the right notes. Weapons have a sufficient level of oomph behind them. Voices are good. Shooting enemies with guns and explosions and all that stuff is just really well done, and I can totally get behind it. Now, gameplay it's technically, it is a third-person shooter, but it follows a lot of rules and conventions of turn-based strategy. On the both you and the Imperial forces take turns, and during your turns, your actions are limited by CP, which are represented by those medals at the top of the screen. Each time you perform an action, it takes 1 CP. Now, there are actions you can take that take multiple CP, but for the most part, you're using 1 CP per action. Each character, while moving them, you're in complete control. So, you're the one aiming, you're the one firing, you're the one picking targets. You're the one who's controlling them, but you can only perform 1 action or attack per turn. So, in this case, I want to kill this sniper over here. Oh, I didn't see her. So, where's that sniper? Where did that sniper go? I wanted to kill that sniper, so I'm gonna take the shot. And while I can still perform movements after my action, I actually cannot perform another attack, I can't heal, or use any specialized abilities. And the more you use a unit per turn, the more tired they become. This can have negative effects on their movement, or inflict them with negative status effects. It depends on the character. Now, all members of your squad are actually quite unique in that they have different personality quirks, and these quirks play a major role in battle. Some being positive, some being negative. But as you get used to the different units, play with them, you'll find some that you become attached to, ones that you really like playing as. And, you know, playing with your favorite squad is actually really neat. All units have interception fire. Well, most units have interception fire, not all, most. But it means that positioning your units is very important, because if, you know, you have the opportunity to attack them on their turn, you can potentially kill them and make things a lot easier for yourself. The gameplay itself is actually a lot of fun. Definitely one of the game's strongest points. But there are a few weird issues. Players can only, well, both players and enemies can only take cover behind sandbags or in heavy grass. And the way this works is it gives an incredible defense boost to a character and makes them immune to headshots. But this actually doesn't matter compared to where you're being shot from. So, for example, if you get behind an enemy who's hiding behind some sandbags, you can't headshot them just because they're crouching down. And the same holds true for you and your units. You just aren't allowed to do basically anything. Well, that happened. But you just can't do really anything to a unit who's taking cover. It's just not really possible to do anything. And it's really bizarre when you are right behind a guy, have a machine gun pressed to the back of their heads, and you can't kill them. It's strange. Same with when enemies are in grass or when you're in grass. You can know right where they are, You can shoot them, and it does like 3 damage. It's just a really unusual choice. Another issue is that characters have no close quarter combat or even sidearms. There are a few units in the game, like the Grenadier I'm playing here, they're very good for like long-range interception fire, but they absolutely suck at close range. And, you know, once an enemy gets close enough, you literally can't do anything. So it'd be nice if they had some type of sidearm, something they could use at close quarters, something that would allow them to, you know, get that interception damage at medium to close range. Another issue is, as I said, there's no close range or melee weapons, which I think would have been positive. Allowing players to get up behind enemies and potentially insta-kill them with,
This should be fun.
you know, a knife attack. It would have helped when dealing with, like, entrenched enemies if you could sneak up behind them and just, like, one-shot them. But that's not an option, and I know that may change the balance of the game, but it is kind of a strange omission that a war game has no close quarters combat. If you sneak up behind an enemy and they're completely unaware, the only thing you can do is shoot them. You can't otherwise intercept or kill them outside of that.
There you are.
Now characters don't gain levels directly. Between missions you can do pay EXP, which you get after missions, or money in order to upgrade your characters in various ways. But this process in itself is rather frustrating, as enemies will, well, not enemies, but the game will be very annoying with how upgrades work. If an upgrade is going to happen, it does it in the most complex way possible. You go to get your upgrade, you have to watch a little cutscene saying, oh, you're here to do upgrades. Okay, let's do upgrades. So you find the upgrade you want, you pick your upgrade, you have to get a little musical jingle saying you have to get your upgrade, then you have to sit up through a little cutscene saying, oh, congratulations, you got your cutscene. You got your upgrade. Now, good job on that, and it's just very annoying. Upgrading your character's levels, while not quite as bad, is still rough. I don't have too many big issues with the gameplay itself. I actually really like the gameplay. I like a lot of the systems. My biggest issue is difficulty. This game gets absolutely ridiculous really quickly. Enemies literally get magic. In a war game, enemies get magic. You're dealing with invincible enemies, enemies with such overwhelmingly massive advantages. It's not even something you can laugh about. It reached a point in terms of frustration that I actually ended up using an FAQ. Because as a strategy game, it failed in what I feel is one of the most important aspects of a strategy game. In that strategy is the most important aspect that a players will deal with. That you can get through any potential situation with the right strategy. That does not apply here. A lot of the game requires foresight. Requires you to know what's going to happen before things happen. And you will die. You will be forced to restart missions again and again and again and again just because, oh, you didn't know that this invincible enemy is going to show up once you do this certain thing and now they're going to insta-kill you? Well, too bad. You know, I'm not actually kidding about that. That does happen. When you start throwing bosses into the mix, and bosses just have such massively inflated health pools that they can walk through your entire army, taking interception from a half-dozen units, and they'll lose like 3% of their health. And when you try and hit them, their defense is so high, their evasion is so high, you'll never be able to kill them. And it gets really, really bad. I mean, I can't even describe the amount of BS that this game has. And it doesn't take long for it to happen. It starts off really fun, and I started off with really positive feelings about this game. But yeah, just a couple missions in, and you're gonna be like, how was anyone supposed to account for this? How was anyone supposed to know this? How was I supposed to be able to deal with this? And the answer is, you weren't. You were not expected to deal with this. There's no way to. And so you're going to be forced to save scum. You're going to be forced to constantly retry missions. Just you're going to have to use FAQs just so you know what to do. Because strategy means nothing compared to the game just basically saying, if you don't know what's going to happen, you're going to lose. Or levels require such specific completion rules that you'll never figure it out, that you'll never make this work. And that is, to me, a complete failure as far as strategy games are concerned. I can't picture a situation where a player, any player, could play through this game successfully without relying on FAQs or other means to get foreknowledge. I just don't see how it can happen. Too much of the game is built unfairly to punish players who simply don't know, rather than aren't capable of coming up with a strategy. So this is my biggest gripe with the gameplay, and I think it is a significant one. Overall, while the story does come across as very anime and ultimately very unfulfilling, I really do like the gameplay ideas, the gameplay systems, but the unbelievable difficulty, the just unfair and unfathomable situations that the game expects you to be able to escape without proper foreknowledge is utterly ridiculous. And as far as the strategy game is concerned, I can't deny that that is a complete and total failure. So, I like the game, I like the ideas behind it, but it's held back by some very strange decisions and completely asinine difficulty. So this has been Jeff McNeil. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.